We're going to go to the two-way program. The two-way program, this one is actually 7 days, but we have 6 training days. 3 are total body with speed development inside of it. On 2 of the days, there's a recovery day for soft tissue care, and there's 3 range of motion days. Okay, and there's a lot of mobility put in. But I'm going to go through all the key concepts of this two-way plan. First of all, each day is labeled. So we have day one training. We recommend the lifting to be done after the throwing program, so you don't want to pre-fatigue the arm. And I think it's a good idea, especially for arm care plus athletes, that if you're seeing a lot of fatigue post throw, that's where you can trim the training. And I recommend just bringing everything to a set if you're seeing significant fatigue, and it'll give you alerts. However, every single training day starts with a check-in. We like to get the body weight in the morning. We recommend 2 bottles of water. We try to drink as much as possible out of stainless steel tumblers. For the day, you want to have half your body weight in fluid ounces. So that's a good idea to know the exact water quantity that is going into whatever implement you're using to drink from. Okay. And that's going to really help your nervous system, your muscle recovery. You just got more blood flow going to the arm. Overall, really good stuff for health and durability. We then go to a pre-workout checklist. In the pre-workout checklist, you'll see similar things on the Arm Care platform that was adapted from here and from the work that I've done in MLB. We want to be able to understand where your sleep quality is, how your throwing arm feels, and how your body feels. It's a good thing for us to have in the background to review, but for you to have it front facing so that you can see when you might not be in your best state. If we have poor scores, so if you're not scoring well on these, we recommend dropping everything to a set. We want to get some work in, but we do not want to overwork. And if it's an exercise with one set, we want to do half the reps. Okay, that's one way to manage the program right off the hop. Now, when we get to the pre-throw part, when it's a high intensity throwing day, whether it's a mound day, pull down day, if you're of age and your coach is instituting a velocity enhancement day, it is very, very important that you check your arm with the Arm Care device. Some athletes are using the program without the injury protection monitoring plan. That's okay. But if you are doing the high intensity throwing, we recommend that you do a pre-throw activation, and then where we have these entries, there's videos associated that will teach you how to do all the techniques to get your arm prepared for the test. You then take your Arm Care test, and you have to make a determination whether you're going to increase or decrease your workload for the day or stay the same. Okay, that has to be an appropriate plan. We then have a couple of different exercises that help with segmented rotation. That means being able to delay your shoulders back so you load the trunk better. That reduces the amount of stress on the arm, how much effort you have to do in throwing. Okay, there's a push and a pull for that. We then have a 6-minute activation. This gets the legs loose, but it's very reflexive. Gets the athlete reactive when they hit the ground, push off harder, more explosive really through the entire process, and maintaining elasticity throughout the entire season. Then you would go to your throwing program schedule, whatever your coach has for you on that day, okay? And then afterwards, we recommend doing the post-exam if it's a high-intensity day, a mound day, or a velo day, or you're doing really hard pull-downs. Now, because this is a two-way plan, we recommend going to hitting right after if you have it scheduled, okay? And we have an activation process for swings. We want to make sure that the body is ready for high intensity swinging so that we can avoid injuries. There's a lot of problems with shoulders of hitters, but especially obliques and spine. So we want to get activated for that. Now, the next order of operations, if scheduled, is to do your speed and agility quickness training. We don't want to lift and then do our speed work because that can really wear out the legs. And it really makes sense if you're on the field to take on your speed development right after. Big thing for me is make sure that the field is clear of any hazards, sprinkler heads, divots. A lot of the time I like to use the infield because it's generally flatter and it's easier to see when grass is sometimes not so maintained on some of the fields out there. So just keep that in mind. Now, if you roll right into your lifting, we have our total body workout, and you can get right into it once you're hot, especially if there's a facility on premises. like our college players and pro players do. If you don't and you have a break in your day, what I suggest is that if there's a gap, is to do our 5 minute pre-workout flow to get the body prepared again. And then we want to go through our workout routine. Okay. And the way you do the workout routines is doing A's together. Okay. So one set here, and you go back to them until you're done that complex. Then you go to your B's, then you go to your C's and complete those. At the end of each day, we have arm biking. And I'm going to just put up Amazon. This one has been pretty easy to use for us. We'll put in arm bike. And it's been, a good recovery tool to do after the day. So here's one here. They're pretty inexpensive. You can put it up on a desk, and you just cycle with your arms. And that way, this one's much less expensive. And that way we have the opportunity to really get ourselves in a good spot to drive blood flow to the arm, okay? Because the legs are relaxing. Now, there's a checkout at the end. We look at this each month. We use it to develop programming. How difficult are they? How can we increase the difficulty? But it's a good idea to map this out. If you threw or you did speed work, hit or lifted on that day, click it in. Click your exertion level. How hard was it for you? And, that's good information for us and also for you, okay? Now, the last thing is getting a body weight at the end of the day. We want to be able to see how much water weight did we lose, and we need to put that back in, okay? And with your tumbler, how much. If you lose a pound, that's 16.9 flow ounces, a little bit more because there's a lot of absorption. And there's, our breathing. There's all sorts of things that we can lose water. So I try to overshoot it a little bit that we can build that weight back. We need the blood flow. We need the electrolytes. We need those things moving for ultimate recovery. Okay. So that's a day one training day. So day two is where we have our first range of motion day. The top half is very similar. We get into the hitting component if you have it that day, okay, with the activation and hitting, and then we have our range of motion. All right. That's a range of motion day here. Okay. And then we have an endpoint that we talked about. Now, Wednesday is going back to another lift day, and it follows the same sequence that we had before, okay, where we have our second speed, agility, quickness day, and we go into our total body lift. Thursday is a second range of motion day. We're using some drills using a wall. There's other things, and remember, these are all video integrated when you get to the app and click on them to restore mobility. Friday's our third lift day. So now you get your third lift for the week with a total body workout. There's no running on that day. We got to keep ourselves kind of limber. That third training day is great to follow our heaviest throwing day. That way we're not pounding the legs. The legs are recovered going into it, because of the day before. On this day, there's some recovery work where we're using a plyo ball, not to throw, but to shake. And this vibrational work, it drives a lot of blood flow into the arm and it brings a lot of growth hormone to repair. So we have that, okay, in our arm bike. And on Sundays, so Saturdays is our next range of motion day. We're resetting the tissues, a longer, more extensive stretching period. And then on Sundays, it's a lot of soft tissue and trigger point with foam roller and tennis balls to reset, okay, for the following week ahead. Now, we have to plan days where there's some rest for the throwing arm. And I recommend either 2 to 3 days, especially, for young athletes early in the off season. We don't want to overdo it. But in the season, try to get 2 days off at least where you're not throwing. See if you can let your arm recharge. I recommend, if we had a day where you have a bullpen on Monday, okay, Sunday you want to throw lightly here. Get the arm limber so that Monday, this is where you're having your intense throwing period. The day before, we do not want to really overtax our throwing arm or nervous system. That's why I try to get the lifts going after. But there's a lot of adjustability to move the days around these training days. And so the day after is a good idea that you have another recovery day. So we have that there. Now, if Tuesday and Friday, let's say, are your bullpen days, what I recommend is sliding everything forward if you can. So what you do is your recovery day from Sunday would be Monday. Monday, what you could do is you could have your range of motion. So this would be a little bit, or sorry, Monday would be after your lifting and everything else. So the pitching first, and then you would get into that. And then you would move Tuesday to range of motion, which is Wednesday. And all of these days would slide forward. So Friday would be on a Saturday, and Saturday may be your best day to do, extensive throwing and bullpens because you don't have school, probably get better rest, so there's a lot of opportunity to move these days around. We just don't want to overtax the nervous system the day before or right before our throwing event. Okay. So, I hope that this season is everything that you are imagining. Stay hungry, be goal driven, and I'm excited for you to begin.